Assalamualaikum, and a very good morning to all. Right, hold on. Okay, okay, welcome everyone to our industrial talk for today. So we have Mr. Salehuddin Loke here for our talk on adaptability actually. Okay, so Mr. Salehuddin Loke is a UTM alumni who graduated just before the pandemic, yeah, everyone. So he's quite lucky. So he is in UTM for the 4 years of his student life. Okay, enjoying the time in UTM, just like you guys at the moment, because most of the students here are first years and second years.
6 years to be exact, I think. Yeah,
sorry?
6 years. 6 years to be exact. Yeah.
Okay, 6 years. Okay, that's quite a long time. Okay, because Mr. Saleh, it's been a very long pandemic journey for us. So the students here mostly hasn't even stepped foot in UTM.
I see.
And then after the Hari Raya, hopefully they all can join us in UTM and we can have a face-to-face session instead of online. But that is now the talk about today. We're not going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about one of the 7 graduate attributes, which has been, I think they have been repeating to these students. And one of them is adaptability. So that is the topic that I requested Mr. Saleh to share with you all today. So you can have a first-hand experience, first-hand sharing from a not so long senior, because 2019, only 3 years of graduation, right? And he's been through a lot, although he's very young. So I hope you guys can learn something about it. Okay. And but please just take note, just be aware that Saleh is not quite well today, right?
Just a bit.
But he's willing to continue with the sharing because we already allocated today. So if he seems quite, lagging, you just let him.
I'm really sorry if I'm coughing and so on.
But don't worry, it will not come to you. It's online, so that's the beauty of online online talk. So I think I'll pass it to you. I'll just mute myself. You can share your slide, and we can start the talk today.
Okay.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for the introduction, Dr. Shafis. She was actually one of my volleyball friend, teammate. So without further ado, I'll share my screen first. Okay. So this is actually the topic for today. I want to talk about the importance of identity capital. I want to talk about the what, the why, when, and how of identity capital, and what is actually identity capital. Without further ado, let's start. But some disclaimer. I'm actually not a successful person that's going to be talking about my success and so on. I'm just going to share to you about a little bit of detail of how are you going to use this skill when you are going to adapt in your working during your working phase after you graduate. So the agenda for today, I'm going to talk about what, why, when, and how of identity capital. So we start with what. So what is actually identity capital? So when we talk about capital, a person capital, for example, is going to be referred to gold, to wealth, to building, and so on, assets. But when we talk about identity capital, it refers to a concept that refers to your personal skills, your skills that you own, that makes you who you are. For example, you are someone that may be good in tennis, good in public speaking, or good in some technical. So that is kind of a skills that is your asset that is applicable in this identity capital concept lah. So this actually will impact your personal and professional life. So identity capital categorized, there are two categories of identity capital. There are tangible things and intangible things. Tangible things basically refers to things that something that you can measure and something that you cannot measure. So tangible thing is mostly accomplished thing, your degree, your schools, your grade, your certificate, your training, and so on. You get the idea. And the next thing is intangible things. So these kind of things that you will learn throughout your 20s maybe, right? The problem solving skills, your empathy, your personality, your introversion personality, and so on. So let's talk about why. So why do we need this identity capital? So identity capital is going to be your adult currency. So when we talk about adult currency, is the things that you are going to achieve during when you are in adult phase. You are going to use this identity capital because you are going to get jobs. You are going to get married, for example, one day. So this adult capital, identity capital that you gather is going to be put on the table as a currency to collect or to gather the job, to get the job that you want, and so on. So
Ali, can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, this is a very interesting term, adult currency. It's like something valuable and it sounds adult. So can you share with us whether this term actually come across your mind when you were in UTM?
I actually didn't I actually have this awareness, but I didn't have this term in mind. I only get this kind of idea of concept and so on just lately after I finished a book called Defining, forgot the name. It was written by Mac J. So she talks about this identity capital and so on. And then at that moment, I realized that this whole concept I actually applied during my study years, especially during my final years, where I had awareness. I started to realize my interest, my passion, but I didn't aware of my talent lah.
I remember that your final year project you did with Dr. Yong, right?
Yes.
Mind sharing us a bit about that? Is that can you share that?
The project is about badminton agility training. It's nothing big, but all I could say is that this project is actually one of my identity capitals because the technology that I use to develop the product, the one that I've been putting on my resume to promote myself and to be different from other candidates.
I want to add something there. That project is actually the project that Dr. Yong find it so applicable that he actually used that project to secure a grant, right, Mr. Saleh?
Yes.
Because I was a member of it. So you see, because the lecturers usually see the potential in their students, especially during FYP, and from there they harness it actually.
Actually, those topics were given by Dr. Yong as well, but then I'm just the one that got lucky to be involved in this kind of project.
Because he knows you are in that field, you are very athletic.
But I didn't manage to do it very well. But luckily, I'm able to finish it, and there are students that continue it as well, and continue it for master, I believe. And credit to Dr. Yong and those person that able to secure the grant.
Yes, thank you for that. Sorry, so I'll stop interrupting for now.
It's okay. It's a good question over there, and let us continue about this topic. So I think we have covered on the why. So is there any question from the student or anyone?
If anyone has a question, you can ask Mr. Saleh.
So I'm taking that as a no, and I'll proceed
Yet.
on to my next slide, which is I'm going to talk about when are you going to apply this kind of concept. So I think I've mentioned it before. So it is actually during any interview that related to jobs, or maybe you are trying to secure a grant and so on. So when you are going for interview, there must be something that you bring onto the table. So this kind of skills and so on are the thing that you are going to talk about. So this will allow you to be appeared as someone that is more adaptable and applicable. This kind of skill that you gathered, I'm just going to take a simple example, which is when you are a student, when you become disciplined, you always come to class on time, finish your assignment. I believe these kind of skills able to be carried forward, and you make you more easily adaptable in the working industry lah. Because it's working industry is no far differences than a study. You still need to come to meeting, you still have your assignment. Basically, it's a task lah. The difference is that they pay you. So that's what I want to highlight here. One of the skills that you can actually practice and gather during your study, practice to improve punctuality and discipline. So, like I mentioned, punctuality and discipline are always the prerequisite requirement wherever we are, whether we are working or studying or just attend a ceremony, right?
Can I stop you there? There's a question in the chat box, if you see.
Oh.
Can you just answer that briefly? Should we develop, the question is from Lee Kwan. I think that's my student. Should we develop our identity capital based on our interests or job needs? Okay, good question.
Good question. For me, both. Make sure that it is aligned to your interest first. And I'm not sure what you refer by job needs, but maybe you are referring to the current market needs. But for me, try to align your interests with the current market needs. Like for now, the tech industry is actually booming. So try to align your interests according to the tech industry lah. Maybe like programming.
Industry again? Tech industry?
Technology industry, IT lah.
Oh, okay.
Even though you have despite you have a different background, you still have chances to go into this industry lah. That's why you need this kind of identity capital concept to prove it that you are capable of delivering these tasks and so on. Hope that answers your question.
Lee, does that answer your question?
All right, good question, Lee. I'll proceed.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
So, when do we accumulate this kind of identity capital? This capital. So during 20s is the best time. One of the reasons is because when you are studying, normally people they are taking degrees in Malaysia is ranging between 20 to 30 lah, right? So this is the best time, and even psychologists say that it is the best time according to the brain development, the psychology, and so on. So so during this time when you are in university, so unfortunately that you guys are having a online study, right? If not, you can join clubs, you can join a competition, internship, and each bits of these activities will contribute to your identity capital. And following rules set by university could also contributes in our soft skill, like for example, I do mention this before, punctuality on every class, meetings, maybe your group studies, right? And assignments, and also some presentation. Try to do it your best during your presentation, because this can be an opportunity to hone your skill for public speaking and so on. So sometimes tasks given to you might not be needed in your career or in your desired career. For example, you want to be a businessman. Right now, you are in mechanical industry, right? Mechanical engineering. The task given to you right now might not be aligned with your interests, but just try to follow your best. Because this, when you are able to deliver the task, this prove your adaptability. And the way that you cope with the given task is something that builds your identity. Any question?
I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
All of you can ask question also. Don't be afraid of him.
Yeah.
Mr. Saleh is very nice. Okay. Anyway, it came to me that 20s. You are still in your 20s, right, Mr. Saleh?
Yep.
Okay. So I believe the students here are around 18 to 19 years old. Right. So in their third year, I think they will be starting in their 20s. Okay. So during your time in UTM, do you if you do not I do not think that how to say maybe you don't have the awareness yet, but how was your action? Is it inclined towards realizing that, hey, I'm in the 20s, I need to do something about my life, like that, or I need to find a good interest that can direct me somewhere because I'm still young. I think this is the time. Do you have that realization or
Kind of good
inclination?
question. Good question. So meaning you're trying to ask, where do I realize my interests and so on? Where do my awareness kind of start? And so I guess it started with my interest towards simple thing, which is I just like typing. At some point I think typing is kind of cool. I tried to learn touch typing. Where you are able to type without looking at the keyboard. I try to play games with those. There are a lot of online platform that makes you able to practice this kind of skill. So I kind of proceed with that. But then I started to realize, hey, if I want to have a career, I want to be able to type most of the time lah, right? And the possible career at that moment I saw is programming, because it's kind of aligned with my background at that moment lah. I was a mechatronics student back at the time, and there are a lot of that kind of few projects that involve with programming and so on, right? That is like kind of a starting point lah. And then I had the opportunity to join as an intern with one of the company in Johor Bahru, in Johor, as a game developer lah. So that is the moment where this interest started to grow bigger and become my passion up until this moment. So at that moment I was like 20 something lah. 20 something. Does that answer your question, Dr. Shafis?
So means that no, because I've known you since you were first years, kan?
Yeah. Second year lah. Second year.
Second year. Okay.
Yeah.
So I can see that you are very motivated students, not just in the game, in the volleyball game, but also during your studies, because lecturers has spies everywhere. So that's why I asked that question. So it seems like you realized it. It seems like you are very motivated. You have something towards, I don't know what back then, but it seems like you know what are your interests are. I mean, you are going there. And then when you did your FYP with Dr. Yong, I thought, yes, for sure you know. That's why I asked that question. Yeah.
Even actually, the topic was actually listed. I do ask few topic lah, but then this kind of topic that picked my most interest lah. So that's why I picked this topic.
Yes. Thank you so much.
So there's a question by Tedes Lee. Was there anyone who was against your idea of joining game developing company? If yes, how did you deal with it? So at that moment, no, because my family was very supportive of what I'm going to be involved in. But at that moment, I do have a dilemma. sort of dilemma lah. I have two offer at that time. One is have a higher pay, twice the pay lah, I could say, for intern. It's a huge company as well. It's a really famous company. And another one is this game developing company lah. And it's actually a healthcare background and so on. But the job scope kind of piqued my interest the most. I'm really interested in programming. I want to start. So this is I discovered that this might be the kickstart of my career in programming, right? So I took this game developer position instead of the other one, even though they are paying much higher. But according to
How much higher? Maybe no.
twice lah. At the moment it's 1,000 lah. And
Wow,
yeah, 1,000 for intern is actually quite a lot.
that's quite a lot. You turned that down and you took the one that you believe will develop your career, right?
Yes. But at
Your
that moment,
interest.
I'm not aware of this identity capital concept, but I'm aware that this kind of activity will contribute towards my long-term goal. Yeah. So
Good.
I'm moving to the next question, asked by Lo Wen Wei. May I know what are some of the other ways that can develop our soft skill other than following university rules? Good question. Soft skills, just develop a good habits can also be contribute to this one. One of the good habits that you can have, a good habit that you can have is reading. When you read, you can increase your vocabulary, but don't try to speak read. Try to grab as much information and vocab as you could lah. My suggestion is it doesn't have to be cover to cover, and it doesn't have to be one week must be one book. No, you just take a small step. You just read like 5 minutes per day is also enough. So like for example, I do develop this kind of skill during my 20s as well. I didn't read much back during my high school, but during university, during my degree years, I started to read. I start with like 15 minutes, 10 minutes, and for this book, I'm able to finish around two weeks or 3 weeks lah. So this can also develop into your soft skill. But if you are looking for technical skill, there are a lot of online platform out there, and there are a lot of YouTube courses that can contribute to your, for example, you're learning for Arduino or maybe Photoshop for doing a brochure and so on. So I hope that answers your question, Lo Wen Wei.
There's another question.
Okay.
But can I add something?
Yep.
Because someone asked about, is there anyone against the idea of redeveloping the game developing company? I might be biased, but I'm talking wearing a hat of a mother, of a parent. So I think when you stay at home, because I have a 16-year-old son who plays the game from morning after Fajar until 6 p.m. Okay, he can do that. But since I put the television at the living room, so if people wants to watch the TV, he has to switch it off. I think you might got some oppose from your family if you portray them that you cannot control your gaming habits. Okay, if you just, let's say you have playing in the room for 24 hours without going out. I mean, you know, people do crazy things when they play games, right? If you do that, maybe there will be some family members against you joining that, because they might look at the gaming company and see how you play games. They relate it that way, maybe. Okay, what do you think, Mr. Salehuddin? What do you think?
I think that game and developing game is like two kind of different thing, but this kind of interest can be intersect at one point lah, which is can contribute into a good thing. So for example, if a person that played a lot of game, which is not good actually, but when they play a variety of game, and then they started to join a game developer company, for example, so those experience playing games can actually contribute a good idea into creating a new games. that have a wide varieties of criteria, because when they play a lot of game, they know, hey, I don't like this kind of thing, but I want this kind of thing. So they can combine all of the desired criteria into one new product. So
Good. That's good. Yes.
yep.
Okay.
But just to mention and disclaimer, it's not good to waste your time on playing games as well. Try to limit so that you don't always try to reward yourself with instant gratification. So there's a next question from Jack. Hi, just now you talked about standing out from the crowd. So do you mind sharing how did you build your identity to stand out from the candidate during interview? Thank you. Okay, so first thing first, I'm assuming that you are talking about job, right? First of all is resume. Try to shape your resume according to the job description that they put up, maybe in website or so on. Try to see the criteria that they want that subsets with your personal identity lah. Maybe they want someone that are able to adapt. Try to put an example on your resume that proof you are able to adapt. So when you ask about build to stand out, build identity to stand out. So when you have a good resume, I think that's good enough. And by the way that you talk will also influence the interviewer, saying that you are able to talk, to confront the public and so on lah. So these kind of skills that will make you stand out from the other lah. So that's why I encourage you guys to gather as much skills as possible during your 20s and during your degree years. So basically just gather the good skills during your studies, and this will be the criteria that you put on your resume, and your resume will stand out among the others. And don't worry, on your final years, you will go through, I think UTM will have an activity for creating a good resume. They will have that session later on. I hope that answers your question. Moving on to the next question, talking about by Tahir, talking about adaptability and interest. Let's say if we don't get to work or don't get a job where we were interested in, so we took another job not of our interest and try to adapt it based on our experience. Do people usually gain interest by adapting? Wait, I try to find your question back. Try to adapt it based on your experience.
That he took some job that he doesn't like. Does he will develop the liking of that job after a while?
Tak kenal maka tak cinta lah. So,
maybe.
Good question also actually, even though it's kind of vague actually. It's kind of not aligned with identity capital topic lah, because like I said, identity capital is some activity that you do that is aligned on your long-term goal lah. Even though it's going to be just a bit. But if you ask me, is it possible if a person can develop interest by just adapting? I would say that it is possible if you are provided a good environment, maybe good salary, right? Good boss as well. So these kind of things that will make you more interested in what you are doing. But it's good that if you find your interest, so that you have a variety of choices in the end when you are trying to look for a job. But like I said, tak kenal maka tak cinta, because back in the days I was also not good in programming. I would say that. But because I do practice when I got the job, right, I started to get better and better. I was also not interested in programming as well back in the days. I would say that. I'm moving on to the next question by Azfa Izha. Hi, may I know where, how, or who can we refer to? Keep on updated on the current market needs. Current market needs. This is a vast topic that you're asking and quite general. But all I could say is that you try to create LinkedIn account. Try to create your LinkedIn account, and you can see the job openings that is offered in your area and so on lah. This is one of a good platform. Even though you are as a student, you can also post something there. Maybe your project, your FYP. You can start your LinkedIn today. You can start posting. You join top. Maybe you join my sharing session. You can post it there, right? Showing that you are actually actively participate in activities that provided by the university, and at the same time you are able to see. Sometimes the recruiter will approach you, hey, I'm interested with you and so on. They will approach you. Yeah. But the current market right now is all those related in IT industry ever since the pandemic lah, because people are working from home, and the IT market is one of the most possible to say market that are able to work from home. Don't need to come to the office and so on. It is possible. So I hope that answers your question. Hi, the next question is by Erwin Silvanus. Hi, what will you advise if for students who are still clueless or haven't discovered their job interest? I would say just try more. Try more. Maybe like if you are in a mechanical, you can try. There are three things lah, basically the basic things. If technical, they are programming. They are mechanical, which is SolidWorks, right? And electronic. This is also possible if you interested in electronic as well. Three technical skills that able to contribute to your career later on. But in addition to that, if you are good in talking, for example, public speaking, you're fluent in English and so on, you are able to work as a sales engineer, maybe as a in IT. There are term which is a business analyst, those that set the requirement and so on. There are a lot of discussion going on, and this kind of role need specific ability, which is the ability to public speaking, to confront with other people and so on. I hope that answered your question. You just need to try. I wish you all the best trying to find your interest. It's not an easy task, I believe. I hope that answers. The next one. I'm sorry if we delay a bit with the question. So, hi. Just want to ask you that follow our passion is correct path for our life or follow the market needs? Because sometimes follow our passion will be, yes, that is a very good question. So if you're passionate in art, for example, I'm not sure how those artistic people are making money, right? Because of the current market needs. I would say that try to make your interest and passion align with the market need lah. Like I mentioned before, technical skill, 3 technical skills that I believe it's related to you all. Mechanical, which is a SolidWorks, try to get better at that. And then there are programming. Programming is the most, I would really recommend programming lah, because I might be a bit biased because I'm from that industry. But based on the market need right now, I see that there are hundreds of vacancy every day, and you are able to work from home as well. So it's kind of good opportunity for you guys to discover this as well. And you can use programming and practice it when you are doing your project lah. Like whenever you have project, right? Normally you will use Arduino. So this is a good time for you to hone your skill, to practice using Arduino and practice your programming skill. And the third one is electronic skills lah. Maybe you want to discover like PCB diagram and so on. There are a lot of things that you can do, and try. The point is try to align your passion and the current market need and the current job position that are available out there. Maybe front end developer or mechanical engineer. Try to align with that. I hope that answers your question, JL Chen. So the next one, moving on to the next question, Clementine. Is it recommended to join club which are aligned to our career path? Let's say we are interested in mechanical. Sorry. Let's say we are interested in mechanical engineering. we join mechanical engineering club. For electrical engineering, join. Yep, like I mentioned before, this is really recommended lah. But it doesn't have to be clubs lah. It can also be competition. You can gather around with your friend. Hey, let's go for a hackathon, for example. Just go for it. Sometimes through these impromptu activities, you can learn a lot, right? But you can also maybe try to approach lecturer. Maybe sometimes they are searching for part-time researcher or something. So sometimes they are. Is it true, Dr. Shafis?
Especially now, because the grants are coming in. I think because of the saving for the last 2 years.
I don't have this awareness actually back in the days. I just realized it during my final years that actually lecturers have grants and so on. They have this kind of.
But last 2 years it was very bad. Not much grant. I think maybe after the pandemic, the fund coming in again. So now quite a few of lecturers in UTM already got grants, so you can approach them.
So I'm suggesting you to try to approach lecturer, and you can also join clubs lah. All right, try to make your skills vary, so put in more varieties in your skill lah. Programming, SolidWorks, and so on. Arduino. Hope that answers the question as well. So there's a next question. I'm sorry if we delay on these slides. There's not much else to talk about actually. Yo Yun, hi, if I may ask, in your perspective, would you prefer a job with more things to learn but with a low salary, or would you be choosing a job with high salary but less space? This is a really good question. So the question is actually, would I prefer a job that will contribute into my learning growth, or one job that have a high salary but really short learning growth? So I would recommend the job that will offer you a bigger learning growth lah. Just one thing that I want to mention is salary can be increased along the years. Maybe you can switch company after you have learned so much and you have become at a steady state point of your learning curve, right? At that point, you can search for a bigger salary at a different company and so on. But try to learn as much as possible lah. Because as my mentor used to say, rewards will come later. You just go for the things that will contribute in your learning, and go for the things, pay advance first, and those rewards will come later. So just go for those that are promoting you a better learning growth instead of a better salary. Sometimes you'll be more happy to learn more instead of just high salary but bad environment and so on. Hope that answers the question. Hi, what will your advice be for students who are still clueless? Am I going to the same question? Oh, sorry, I'm going to the same question. All right, next question is by Lim Juntai. Hi, nowadays many people say university is built for students to become workers, while real world built for entrepreneurship. May I know what are your opinion regarding this statement? Entrepreneurship, so do you refer to business and so on? Depends. A part of the statements are true actually. University built students to become workers, but the working industry need both. They need workers and then they need entrepreneurs. These both categories need to be working together in order to create a profit and so on. So, for example, if there's a company that wants to develop, right, but the founder is someone that have an entrepreneurship mindset, but he or she doesn't have the ability to the technical skill to create a game. So instead, he needs to hire workers. So these workers are being created in university. So I'm not saying just a workers lah. It can be, this topic is quite vast actually. I hope that answers your question lah. Does that answer the question? What do you think, Dr. Shafis?
Yeah, That's good. That's a good answer.
But just want to add up on the table lah. You don't have to be working as well. I mean, in the nearest future, you can also pursue your study for master. So
Hi, Mr. Saleh. My name is Izzat.
Hi,
So,
Izzat.
as in, you are in your 20s, would you suggest us to, just now we can study or we can work, but then as you are in the industry, do you suggest us to gain more experience as in working in industry, or for us to pursue or study as in taking masters and then our PhD? Because if we proceed to our study, it will take more years for us to complete and then to join the industry. So, which one do you prefer us to pursue?
Oh, good question. Is that I do receive this kind of question before this, doesn't it, Dr. Shafis? So should you pursue your study or just work in the industry? But my opinion might be biased lah. It all comes back down to your interest and passion lah. For me, I do like learning. But my current job scope and current working industry do encourage me to learn as well while doing my tasks. So for me, I might encourage you to go and just go into the working industry. Maybe after 2 years, you try to reflect back whether you want to pursue your study. At that point, you can see whether pursue study is the one to go or not. At that point, you will realize maybe it's not for me, or maybe this is for me. At that point, you need to maybe after you work around 2 years, you will realize. Because during my studies also, one of the lecturers do recommend if you want to pursue master, you do join in the work industry for a while.
But then in terms of hierarchy in the company, will it like if let's say you join the industry later than everyone else?
So that is the drawback lah. When you join late, you will have less experience than other. But then at that point, your certificate doesn't really matter at that point, unless you are in the lecturer industry. For me, I do personally think that if you want to go for lecturer, right, then you need to pursue for PhD because that is the pre-requirement. But if your end goal is want to become an entrepreneur, it might not contribute you much. The PhD or the master might not contribute you as much as being a lecturer. Right?
I can add as a academician point of view. Okay, in my opinion, actually it depends on the project you are embarked in. So if that project is actually involving you with the industry, right, I think that it will be good to pursue. So and you know that you are capable of doing research. You know, it's a bit hard, but if you don't have the ability to do research, to work on your own, maybe you should go to the industry first. Okay, but I'm not discouraging you guys. But just trust me, after 2 to 5 years of working in the industry, you will have like a longing to go back to the academic world. You will feel like I want the experience again. Okay, so if you're not sure whether you can pursue a research study, I would recommend also just like what Mr. Saleh recommended.
So basically, Dr. Shafi is recommending to go in this industry for a while and then go back to study if required lah.
Look at the research, and if a certain lecturer invites you, usually lecturer will approach you like they did with Saleh. So if a lecturer approach you, you know that the lecturer is good. And sorry, the student is good. Sorry. So if that's the case, you have to look at it. And if the research offered to you is not in your interest and you are not passionate about it, I will suggest don't take it. Because if you do not finish your studies, as Izzat mentioned just now, yes, you're gonna lose the cert, and then you're going to lose the experience. So that's not good for your resume. Okay, That's from. Sorry.
Yeah, another question by 7. Hi, if I may ask, what is your career plan in the near 5 years ahead? What are you looking to gain in these 5 years? So, right now I'm a software developer. So in 5 more years, I just want to improve my skills. That is the plan right now, to be a better developer. So that at one point I had the chances to be a senior, maybe, so that I can share my knowledge among other developer, among junior or a newcomer and so on. So that, because I like this kind of sharing knowledge, because throughout sharing knowledge is where I am learning as well. Hope that answers. Lika How. Hi, if I may ask, because of the pandemic, some people cannot adapt to the new work style and lost their motivation or become less productive. Is there any advice on this matter? So I might be taking this question personally, because personally, I also feel the same sometimes. But in order to tackle this, there are a lot of productivity methods. One of the way is try to break your tasks as small as possible. Because if you see the task as a very huge, for example, you need to read a 365 pages of books, right? But if you see the task that way, you will see it as a really huge task, and that will make you procrastinate and so on. But if you break to a smaller task and create a milestone, for example, you will easily try to achieve, you will easily achieve it, and you will have a better fulfillment. For example, in 1 week, you will try to read 100 pages. So after you have achieved the first milestone of 100 pages, you will start to feel happy because you achieved something. Instead of you try to achieve a 365 pages of books. And there are other methods as well, such as you can try Pomodoro technique, where people try to break time. They create a time like 25 minutes and then 5-minute break, 25 minutes and then 5-minute breaks. So depends on your needs. But this is my suggestion. But I really encourage you to get adapt to this kind of working culture lah, because I believe you guys are learning online and so on. Try to make your working environment or studying environment interesting. Maybe try to make it clean and so on. Hope that answers your question. So the next one is hi, as we transitioning to a world of artificial intelligence and technology advancement, what you say about opportunities and demand? As engineering student as compared to student who specialize in those areas? Good question. So you are talking about AI and then IT. If you want to join those industry, what is the chances of you joining, right? So good question, because I know a lot of people that is not in the IT industry but currently is working in IT industry. There are a lot of people. Some of them are coming from electrical background. Some of them even in mechanical background, but they are very good at what they are doing. I also know some people that are really good at electronic, but when I ask about his background, he is actually a mechanical student. So it's kind of a shame, because I'm actually from mechatronic student, but I'm not really good at these electronic things. So what I could say is that I'm encourage you to study and try to involve your project. Try to aim your FYP to be related to AI or the technology advancement that you mentioned, right? That you desired, so that this kind of team can be included in your resume, so that you can compete on the same level with the student that specialize in those areas. Because in the end, it all comes down to how you present it to the interviewer. I hope that answers. Moving on to the next question. Hi, what is your advice if the study field being taken up now is not the target of one's work, but just to increase the probability of being hired? What do you mean?
Hello, Mr. Sahlan.
Yeah, hi.
From my question, I'm saying that let's say I have a future that I'm imagining that I'm going to work in an office, right? An office doing Excel or something like that. But I'm currently now studying in mechanical engineering. Not that I don't like mechanical engineering, I still find it as fun for me. But because I heard rumors, mechanical engineering so far don't give quite an income from the daily basis of salary. So I might thinking that if working in office will give much more salary. So right now I have a future of a mindset that I might going to work in an office, but right now I'm doing static calculating all these numbers, but I end up having future of working at an office doing Excel. So what do you think, my opinion on that actually?
I think if you are saying working in an office because you like the environment, I would say that even mechanical engineering student or mechanical engineer will work in the office. Based on my previous experience, they are working in the office only. But sometimes we go out and go for fabrication and so on. But when you say you just want to go for Excel and so on, I would say that because of the salary, I would say that salary is something that is subjective lah. It actually goes back down to the industry, right? So I would suggest you to aim for salary first, because at one point you will burn out because of the task and you don't find your work enjoying. So I really recommend you to find a job scope or end goal to be something more interesting or something that you can learn every day. Maybe mechanical engineer is also a good a good position actually, because you are learning, you are able to do simulation, fabrication, and so on. There are a lot of things to be learned. Does that answer your question, Shaman? So I take that as a yes.
I said thank you.
Oh, okay. So next one is a job hopping reliable way to gain skill and improve adaptability, or is it just a way to improve resume? So you're asking about job hopping. Is it good or bad?
Why don't you share your experience?
My experience, I only job hop once because I want to be nearer to my family. I was
in 2 years.
Yes, after 2 years, I started to change job to be nearer to my family, but not that near lah. I still go to the office. If by train 2 hours per trip juga. Driving is 1 hour. But if you're asking in terms of adaptability and resume, I would say that it depends. If you want to job hop, try to be after 2 years, at least 2 years if possible, especially when you are a fresh grad, so that the interviewer or the new company will see you as someone that is trustworthy, because they don't see you that jump at every 3 months, so they don't seem you to be someone loyal. So it is decreasing your chances to get hired. I would say that this was also coming from some of the recruiter. Hope that answered the question.
This will be the last question, Mr. Saleh, from
now which one is it?
Yeah, betul. Because I actually don't really know how to pronounce their names. You pronounce it better.
Now which one? Sorry if I didn't mention it correctly. Now, so hi, may I ask what's your opinion on what's more important between soft skill and technical skill? It all comes back to your end goal. For me, soft skill is a good additional skill lah. It's good to have skills because along the way you will also have presentation and so on during your working days. You still have presentation. You still have you still need to talk with others, and technical skill is is also need based on your job scope. According to your job scope. So the point is, it all comes down to your end goal. If you are looking to be someone in the sales engineering, you need to be good at soft skill. but maybe medium in terms of technical skill. But if you are going to be a mechanical engineer, you need to be good at technical skill, but somewhere medium in your soft skill. Hope that answer your question, okay?
Thank you. That was a very direct question. Sorry, answer. Okay, I'm sorry, but I have to end the session because we promised 1 hour.
Oh, okay.
Do you realize it's already 12 p.m.?
I don't have clock with me right now, but yeah, I just realized.
I really don't want to disturb you further on your resting period. So anyway, that was a very good topic, very good talk, very good answers with all my students. Thank you for asking, everyone. That was all very, very good questions. And I hope Mr. Saleh has given you some clarity and a bit of exposure about his own life. And I just want to convey something from your PA. Do you remember her?
Oh, yes.
To be told to all of you that her PA, I will not mention her name, his PA, she said that since the beginning, Mr. Salehuddin Loke has been a very, he has known what he wants from the beginning. So maybe even without the awareness, Mr. Saleh, I think you are actually drawn to what you think it's your interest. I think maybe all of you are like that. Maybe you didn't realize it. Maybe you see something that is interesting, then like, physically interesting, you would go towards that instead of what your heart says. Maybe. But what Mr. Saleh has shared with you today, I think that's very beneficial for you guys as a fresh grads. Okay, as a fresh graduates, you should have this skill when you go out there to work, even from now. So harness that skill from now so you can use it later during your work life. So because like I said in class, your life in UTM is only what, 4 years, right? But your life out there will be
Much
as long,
longer.
yeah, until you are called by God lah.
Yeah. These are skills that you are acquired will be your adult currency lah, like we discussed before. The things that
Yes.
when you want to get a job and so on.
Exactly. So this is the good time. You are still in first, second years, and you still have time to do what Mr. Saleh has suggested, as proposed to you throughout his talk. Okay. All right. So Mr. Saleh, thank you so much for being with us today and for your sharing. I hope if the student has any other questions, I will direct it to you. And if you guys have interest in software development, can you PM me so I can put you in a, because we have a small group on that, although it's not that active. So if you you guys want to join, I can just add you there and you can have a discussion directly with Mr. Saleh. Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Salehuddin Loke.
All right,
Thank you
for the invite.
being here. Hope we are in the next few years I can invite you more for more industrial talk for my other classes, my students. Thank you so much.
Thank you for attending.